Okay, now Sutta 73, Mahavacchagotta Sutta, the greater discourse to Vacchagota. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Vacchagota in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Then the wanderer Vacchagota went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. When this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side and said to the Blessed One, I have had conversations with Master Gotama for a long time. It would be good if Master Gotama would teach me in brief, wholesome and the unwholesome. And the Buddha said, I can teach you the wholesome and the unwholesome in brief, Vaccha, and I can teach you the wholesome and the unwholesome at length. Still, I will teach you the wholesome and the unwholesome in brief. Listen and attend closely to what I shall say. Stop here for a moment. So from here, it seems like the wanderer Vacchagota, he has often consulted the Buddha on the Dhamma. And the Buddha, yes sir, he replied, and the Blessed One said, Vaccha, greed is unwholesome, non-greed is wholesome. Hatred is unwholesome, non-hatred is wholesome. Delusion is unwholesome, non-delusion is wholesome. In this way, three things are unwholesome and the other three things are wholesome. Killing living beings is unwholesome. Abstention from killing living beings is wholesome. Taking what is not given is unwholesome. Abstention from taking what is not given is wholesome. Misconduct in sensual pleasures is unwholesome. Abstention from misconduct in sensual pleasures is wholesome. False speech is unwholesome. Abstention from false speech is wholesome. Malicious speech is unwholesome. Abstention from malicious speech is wholesome. Harsh speech is unwholesome. Abstention from harsh speech is wholesome. Gossip is unwholesome. Abstention from gossip is wholesome. Covetousness is unwholesome. Uncovetousness is wholesome. Ill will is unwholesome. Non-ill will is wholesome. Wrong view is unwholesome. Right view is wholesome. In this way, 10 things are unwholesome, and the other 10 things are wholesome. When the monk has abandoned craving, cut it off at the root, made it like a palm stump, done away with it so that it is no longer subject to future arising, then that monk is an arahant who taints destroyed, one who has lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached the true goal, destroyed the fetters of being, and is completely liberated through final knowledge. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is talking about the 10 evil karmas and the 10 wholesome karmas. And monk is liberated by abandoning craving. Apart from Master Gotama, is there any one monk, Master Gotama's disciple, who by realizing for himself with direct knowledge here and now enters upon and abides in the deliverance by mind and deliverance by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taint? Stop here for a moment. So here he's asking, besides the Buddha, are there other arahants? And here you see arahants, he mentions two types. One is liberated by mind, the other one is liberated by wisdom. I think yesterday we saw in Sutta 70, the Buddha mentioned two arahants, two ways liberated and liberated by wisdom. That's why I mentioned that two ways liberated is the same as liberated by mind. And because liberated by mind means liberated by mind as well as liberated by wisdom. And the Buddha said, there are not only 100 vaccha, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 500, but far more monks, my disciples, who by realizing for themselves with direct knowledge here and now, enter upon and abide in the liberation by mind and liberation by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. Apart from Master Gotama and the monks, is there anyone, none, Master Gotama's disciple, who by realizing for herself with direct knowledge here and now, enters upon and abides in the liberation by mind and liberation by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints? There are not only 100, 2, 3, or 500, but far more nuns, my disciples, who by realizing for themselves with direct knowledge here and now enter upon and abide in the liberation by mind and liberation by wisdom that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is saying that his monk and nun disciples, they are far more than 500. Should be a few thousand Arahant monks and a few thousand Arahant nuns. You see from the Vinaya books that it is mentioned there are about 1,060 Arahants, the first 1,060 Arahants who attain liberation with the help of the Buddha, and practically all of them attain liberation just by listening to the Sutta Discourse. And the Buddha chose those people to give the Sutta Discourse to. Those people the Buddha went to generally were those who had attained the jhanas. So when the Buddha spoke the suttas to them, they immediately understood and attained arahanthood. Apart from Master Gautama and the monks and nuns, is there any one lay follower, Master Gautama's disciple, clothed in white, leading a life of celibacy, who with the destruction of the 5 lower factors will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes and there attain final Nibbana without ever returning from that world? There are not only 100, 2, 3 or 500, but far more men lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy, who with the destruction of the 5 lower factors will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes and there attain final Nibbana without ever returning from that world. Stop here for a moment. So here he's asking about men, lay followers who lead a life of celibacy. That means they abstain from sexual relations. So during the Buddha's time, there were also thousands of laymen who, even though some of them may be married, but they live separately from their wives and they practice very hard. Sometimes they practice in their room. They take their room to be like a cave for a monk, and they don't leave their room all the time they can. They stay in the room and meditate and attain the jhanas, and then they destroy the 5 lower factors, meaning they become anagamin, non-returners, and will be reborn in the Suddhavasa heavens, pure abodes, and from there attain Nibbana, enter Nibbana. So you see, there are some laymen, they also lead a life of celibacy like monks, but instead of wearing the robe, they prefer to practice at home. That is also possible. Only thing is, it's harder to practice in the home because you are surrounded by other people, and if you don't socialize with other people, people tend to come and pull you out unless your will is very strong. You just refuse to associate with people and keep aloof from society. Anyway, whatever we want to attain, without strong determination, we can never attain anything. Apart from Master Gautama, the monks and nuns and the men lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy, is there any one man lay follower, Master Gautama's disciple, clothed in white, enjoying sensual pleasures, who carries out his instruction, responds to his advice, has gone beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain intrepidity, and become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation? And the Buddha said, there are not only 100, 2, 3, 4, or 500, but far more men, lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white, enjoying sensual pleasures, who carry out my instruction, respond to my advice, have gone beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain intrepidity, and become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. Stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha says, his men, lay followers who live at home and live a normal lay life, enjoying sensual pleasures. Thousands of them have attained Sotapanna and Sakadagami, first fruition and second fruition area. These two, Sotapanna and Sakadagami, they don't need perfect samadhi. Perfect concentration means the four jhanas. So even with the upachara samadhi and threshold concentration, which is very near to the first jhana, or just the first jhana, person can become a Sotapanna and Sakadagami. Apart from Master Gautama, the monks and nuns and men lay followers clothed in white, both those leading lives of celibacy and those enjoying sensual pleasures, is there any one woman lay follower, Master Gautama's disciple, clothed in white, leading a life of celibacy, who with the destruction of the five lower fetters will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final Nibbana without ever returning from that world? There are not only 100, 2, 3, 4, or 500, but far more women lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy, who with the destruction of the five lower fetters will reappear spontaneously in the pure abodes, and there attain final Nibbana without ever returning from that world. Apart from Master Gautama, the monks and nuns and the men lay followers clothed in white, both those leading lives of celibacy and those enjoying sensual pleasures, and the women lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy, is there any one woman lay follower, Master Gautama's disciple, clothed in white, enjoying sensual pleasures, who carries out his instruction, responds to his advice, has gone beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain intrepidity, and become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation? There are not only 1, 2, 3, 4, or 500, but far more women lay followers, my disciples, clothed in white, enjoying sensual pleasures, who carry out my instruction, respond to my advice, have gone beyond doubt, become free from perplexity, gain intrepidity, and become independent of others in the teacher's dispensation. Stop it for a moment. So here the Buddha says, just like the men lay followers, women lay followers also, there are those who lead lives of celibacy, have attained the third fruition, Anagamin, thousands of them, and also those women lay followers living the home life and enjoying sensual pleasures. Also thousands of them have attained Sotapanna and Sakadagami, the first and second fruition, just like the men. Master Gautama, if only Master Gautama were accomplished in this Dhamma Vinaya, but no monks were accomplished, then this holy life would be deficient in that respect. But because Master Gautama and the monks are accomplished in this Dhamma, this holy life is thus complete in that respect. If only Master Gautama and the monks were accomplished in this Dhamma, but no nuns were accomplished, then this holy life would be deficient in that respect. But because Master Gautama, monks and nuns are accomplished in this Dhamma, this holy life is thus complete in that respect. If only Master Gautama, monks and nuns were accomplished in this Dhamma, but no men lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy were accomplished, then this holy life would be deficient in that respect. But because Master Gautama, monks and nuns and men lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy are accomplished in this Dhamma, this holy life is thus complete in that respect. If only Master Gautama, monks and nuns, and men lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy were accomplished in this Dhamma, but no men lay followers clothed in white, enjoying sensual pleasures were accomplished, then this holy life would be deficient in that respect. But because Master Gautama, monks and nuns, and men lay followers clothed in white, both those leading lives of celibacy and those enjoying sensual pleasures are accomplished in this Dhamma, this holy life is thus complete in that respect. If only Master Gautama, monks and nuns, and men lay followers clothed in white, etc., were accomplished in this Dhamma, but no women lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy were accomplished, then this holy life would be deficient in that respect. But because Master Gautama, monks and nuns, men lay followers, etc., and women lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy are accomplished in this Dhamma, this holy life is thus complete in that respect. If only Master Gautama, monks and nuns, men lay followers clothed in white, etc., and women lay followers clothed in white, leading lives of celibacy were accomplished in this Dhamma, and no women lay followers clothed in white, enjoying sensual pleasures were accomplished, then this holy life would be deficient in that respect. But because Master Gautama, monks and nuns, men lay followers clothed in white, both those leading lives of celibacy and those enjoying sensual pleasures, and women lay followers clothed in white, both leading lives of celibacy and those enjoying sensual pleasures, are accomplished in this Dhamma. This holy life is thus complete in that respect. Just as the river Ganges inclines towards the sea, slopes towards the sea, flows towards the sea, and merges with the sea, so too Master Gautama's assembly with his homeless ones and his householders inclines towards Nibbana, slopes towards Nibbana, flows towards Nibbana, and merges with Nibbana. Stop here for a moment. So here he is praising the Buddha because the Buddha and the assembly of monks and nuns and lay people are all accomplished in the Dhamma, having attained various stages of Aryahood. So you see, monks and nuns, because they have completely renounced, they can attain the highest Arahanthood. And for lay people, men and women lay followers, because they renounce partially, they stay at home, but lead lives of celibacy, they can attain up to Anagami. And then those leading household lives, householders, and enjoying sensual pleasures, they can attain up to the first and the second fruitions, Sotapanna and Sakadagami. So the more you renounce, the higher stage you can achieve. Magnificent Master Gautama, magnificent Master Gautama. Master Gautama has made the Dhamma clear in many ways, as though he were turning upright but had been overthrown, revealing what was hidden, showing the way to one who was lost, or holding up a lamp in the dark for those with eyesight to see forms. I go to Master Gautama for refuge, and to the Dhamma, and to the Sangha of monks. I will receive the going forth under Master Gautama. I will receive the full ordination. Stop here for a moment. So here you see, he takes refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha of monks. It's noticed here the Sangha refers to the Sangha of monks. Sometimes people say, take refuge with the Aryan Sangha. But the Aryan Sangha, you don't know who are the Aryans, so how can you take refuge? So it is the monks that you take refuge to with. So the Sangha refers to the Sangha of monks. So finally, after being instructed by the Buddha on the Dhamma many times, Vacchagota, after this discourse, he decided to renounce and become a monk disciple. And the Buddha said, Vaccha, one who formerly belonged to another sect and desires the going forth and the full ordination in this Dhamma Vinaya, lives on probation for 4 months. At the end of 4 months, if the monks are satisfied with him, they give him the going forth and the full ordination in the monk state. But I recognize individual differences in this matter. Remember, sir, if those who formerly belong to another sect and desire the going forth and the full admission in this Dhamma Vinaya, live on probation for 4 months, and if at the end of the 4 months, the monks being satisfied with them, give them the going forth and the full ordination in the monk state, then I will live on probation for 4 years. At the end of the 4 years, if the monks are satisfied with me, let them give me the going forth and the full admission to the monk state. Then the wanderer Vacchagota received the going forth under the Blessed One, and he received the full ordination. So here you see, he's so eager to become a monk under the Buddha. He said, even you put me on probation for 4 years or so, I'll be happy. So the Buddha saw that he was so eager. The Buddha immediately ordained him. Not long after his full ordination, a half month after his full ordination, the Venerable Vacchagota went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and told the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, I have attained whatever can be attained by the knowledge of a disciple in higher training. by the true knowledge of a disciple in higher training. Let the Blessed One teach me the Dhamma further. And then the Buddha said, in that case, Vacha, develop further two things, samatha and vipassana. When these two things are developed further, they will lead to the penetration of many elements. To the extent that you may wish, may I wield the various kinds of psychic power. Having been one, may I become many. Having been many, may I become one. May I appear and vanish. May I go unhindered through a wall, through an enclosure, through a mountain, as though through space. May I dive in and out of the earth as though it were water. May I walk on water without sinking as though it were earth. Seated cross-legged, may I travel in space like a bird. With my hand, may I touch and stroke the moon and sun, so powerful and mighty. May I wield bodily mastery even as far as the Brahma world. You will attain the ability to witness any aspect therein, there being a suitable basis. Stop here for a moment. So this one refers to this, I think they call it psychokinesis, various types of psychic power. One body, he can multiply his bodies into many, and then he can appear and vanish, go through a wall, and through a mountain, etc. Dive in and out of the earth, walk on water, just like Jesus Christ. Travel like a bird, fly like a bird, touch the sun and moon, and fly with the flesh body as far as the Brahma world. To the extent that you may wish, may I, with the divine ear element which is purified and surpasses the human, hear both kinds of sounds, the divine and the human, those that are far as well as near. You will attain the ability to witness any aspect therein, there being a suitable basis. Stop here for a moment. So here Buddha says, if you develop samatha and vipassana, this second thing you can attain is the heavenly ear. That means you can hear the sounds of the spirits talking, either ghosts or celestial beings and human beings. Far away also you can hear. To the extent that you may wish, may I understand the minds of other beings, of other persons, having encompassed them with my own mind. May I understand the mind affected by lust as affected by lust, and the mind unaffected by lust as unaffected by lust. May I understand the mind affected by hate as affected by hate, and the mind unaffected by hate as unaffected by hate. May I understand the mind affected by delusion as affected by delusion, and the mind unaffected by delusion as unaffected by delusion. May I understand the contracted mind as contracted, and the distracted mind as distracted. May I understand an exalted mind as exalted, and an unexalted mind as unexalted. May I understand a surpassed mind as surpassed, and an unsurpassed mind as unsurpassed. May I understand a concentrated mind as concentrated, and an unconcentrated mind as unconcentrated. May I understand a liberated mind as liberated, and an unliberated mind as unliberated. You will attain the ability to witness any aspect therein, that being a suitable basis. So here Buddha says, this third one, you can read the minds of other beings. But it says that there being a suitable basis, that means provided you have the condition, basically the condition is at least the fourth rupa jhana before these psychic powers come. To the extent that you may wish, may I recollect my manifold past lives, 1 verse, 2 verse, 3, 4, 10, 100, 1,000, etc., etc. Thus with the aspects and particulars, may I recollect my manifold past lives. You will attain the ability to witness any aspect therein, there being a suitable basis. To the extent that you may wish, may I, with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, see beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, etc., and understand how beings pass on according to their actions or karma. You will attain the ability to witness any aspect therein, there being a suitable basis. To the extent that you may wish, may I, by realizing for myself with direct knowledge, here and now enter upon and abide in the liberation by mind and liberation by wisdom, that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. You will attain the ability to witness any aspect therein, there being a suitable basis. Then the Venerable Vacchagota, having delighted and rejoiced in the Blessed One's words, rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed. Before long, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute, the Venerable Vacchagota, by realizing for himself with direct knowledge, here and now entered upon and abided in the supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the home life into homelessness. He directly knew, birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. And the Venerable Vacchagota became one of the Arahants. Stop here for a moment. So here, you see, after he was ordained for 2 weeks, he came to ask the Buddha for further instructions. He says that he has attained whatever can be attained by the knowledge of a disciple in higher training, by the true knowledge of a disciple in higher training. And when he asked for further instructions, the Buddha asked him to develop samatha and vipassana. So now, according to the commentary, they say that after 2 weeks, this Venerable Vacchagota had attained the state of an anagamin, third fruition. But I think that is a bit doubtful. If we refer to the Vinaya books, we find when the Buddha first went to his first two meditation teachers, Alara Kalama and Udaka Ramaputta, I think it's also mentioned in one of the Majjhima Nikaya suttas, that after staying with his meditation teachers, he could attain to the this arupas or arupa jhanas that the teachers had attained, and it is mentioned that he says roughly the same thing, that I have attained whatever can be attained by the knowledge of a disciple in higher training, by the true knowledge of a disciple in higher training. So maybe this Venerable Vacchagota had attained the 4 jhanas, maybe he has attained the 4 jhanas. So the Buddha asked him to develop samatha and vipassana. Or he has not attained 4 jhanas, maybe he has attained 1 or 2 or 3 jhanas. So the Buddha asked him to develop further this samatha. Samatha means the practice of samadhi, to attain samadhi. So the Buddha is probably telling him to strengthen his samadhi, his concentration, and then to practice vipassana, which is contemplation. Contemplation means contemplation of 4 things: contemplation of the nature of the body, feelings, the mind, and Dhamma. Dhamma is the Buddha's Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings. And out of these 4 things, these 4 objects of contemplation, the most important is the Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings, because it leads to enlightenment. Because as I have mentioned before, the 5 occasions a person becomes liberated. Out of these 5, 4 of them have to do with the Dhamma, listening to the Dhamma, teaching the Dhamma, repeating the Dhamma, and reflecting on the Dhamma. So the Dhamma is extremely important for liberation. So here the Buddha tells him that if he develops samatha and vipassana more deeply, then he can attain the abhinyas. Abhinyas are the higher knowledges. Out of these, the 6 higher knowledges mentioned in the suttas are these: psychokinesis, various types of psychic power. Second one is the heavenly ear. Third one is to be able to read the minds of other beings. The 4th is to recollect past. The 5th is the heavenly eye. And the 6th is the destruction of the asavas, destruction of the pains. And that means attaining of arahanthood or liberation. So these are the 6 abhinyas, the 6 higher knowledges. So Venerable Vacchagota, after listening to the Buddha's instructions, he went to live alone. Generally, a monk is only allowed to live alone after he has stayed 5 years with his teacher and he has learned the Dhamma and the Vinaya. So here, he lived alone and he practiced very hard. And probably after a few years, he became liberated. Now, on that occasion, a number of monks were going to see the Blessed One. Remember, Vacchagota saw them coming in the distance. Seeing them, he went to them and asked them, "Where are the Venerable Ones going?" "We are going to see the Blessed One, friend." "In that case, may the Venerable Ones pay homage in my name with their heads at the Blessed One's feet, saying, 'Venerable Sir, the monk Vacchagota pays homage with his head at the Blessed One's feet.' Then say, 'The Blessed One has been worshipped by me. The Sublime One has been worshipped by me.'" "Yes, friend," those monks replied. Then they went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, they sat down at one side and told the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, the Venerable Vacchagota pays homage with his head at the Blessed One's feet, and he says, 'The Blessed One has been worshipped by me. The Sublime One has been worshipped by me.'" And the Buddha said, "Monks, having encompassed his mind with my own mind, I already knew of the monk Vacchagota. The monk Vacchagota has attained the threefold true knowledge and has great supernormal power and might. And deities also told me this. The monk Vacchagota has attained the threefold true knowledge and has great supernormal power and might." That is what the Blessed One said. Those monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So here, Venerable Vacchagota, he asked the other monks to pay homage to the Buddha in his name, and also to say that the Blessed One has been worshipped by me, the Sublime One has been worshipped by me. This is the way the Arahants indicate that they have finished their work. They don't say, "I have become enlightened," because they have no more I. So they say they have given the highest homage to the Buddha. The highest homage to the Buddha is to carry out the Buddha's instructions fully and attain enlightenment. So it is not by bowing down to the Buddha statue that you pay homage to the Buddha. Real homage to the Buddha is practicing the Buddha's instructions, doing what is hard to do, cutting out our defilements, getting rid of all these unwholesome states of mind that trouble us this lifetime and will trouble us in future lifetimes. So we follow the Buddha's instructions, do what is hard to do, struggle, and get rid of unwholesome states of mind. And if we can do that, then we have carried out the Buddha's instructions, and we have worshipped the Buddha.